Hello and welcome back to KNF Design. If you're new here, my name is Katie, and I try to bring a wide variety of different craft projects to you. If you ever have a craft project you would like me to show you how to make, or just want to see me try to make it, let me know down below, and I'll try my best to bring that to you. If you like today's craft project, make sure to hit those thumbs up. It really does mean a lot to me, and it helps bring my crafting videos to more crafters like you. Don't forget to also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you don't miss out on any of our crafting fun. So with that, let's get crafting. So today I'm going to show you how to do both a cutaway card and an insert card, as well as kind of making your own as well. If you get my design and upload it to Cricut Design Space, it'll look like this at first. So let's ungroup it. And my lines are just black, so Cricut fills it in black. So let's change it to white so we can see everything. You just go operations and hit that little color block here and change it to white. This one here, we just need to send that to the back so my rose comes forward. So here's the different codes we have. I do have two files, one for the cutaway and one for the insert code. Really, the only difference is in my program that I used to create the code, I sized them to fit my cutaway code and my insert code because they're slightly different sizes, the ones I got. But Cricut changes the sizes a lot of times anyway, so really it doesn't matter which one you open up. We'll start with this one here. This is if you do not have a Cricut code mat, either the single code for the Joy machine, the Joy Extra, or the 2x2, which is 4 codes with the Cricut Maker and the Explorer. I will be showing you on my Maker, so I have the Cricut 2x2 code mat that I will be doing my cutouts on. But if you just want to use a cardstock, I like to use the light blue grip mat. If it's a thicker cardstock, then I'll use my green mat. But if you just want to use your regular Cricut mat, then I also have that designed for you. The only thing you need to do is click this line going down the middle, which is separating your card into 2 halves. And we go under Draw and turn it to a score line. And when you click off, you can see it's a dotted line. This is also a good design if you need, if you don't buy the pre-made cutaway cards or insert cards or just cards in general, and you need to cut them out of cardstock. And then you will, I think we'll talk about this first. In my design, it does the fonts. Cricut doesn't like fonts, so I had to change them to just like a design. So it automatically changes it to a cut. If you change it to a pen, it does this weird double line. But in fact, my fonts are single pen lines, so it did it there too. So if you go, I went over to text. Let's say I love, and then I did this, enter you. I'm going to move that over here and go into fonts. It's actually a Cricut font, and you can also find it if you go, you can do writing font, and I like to select free. I even did that for you. And the one I picked is
Life's a Pretty. And then I also did the Merlot. So if you just click that, now instead of doing this weird double line with your pen, it just doesn't. See, it's still a pen. It'll do a single line. Now, I don't mind this font either. So you could do either one. So if you like this one, just change it, size it down, and then don't forget to click the font and your square, and then you want to align it so it moved just a little bit, and that way everything's lined up well. You would do the same thing with this Will You Be My Valentine. You could change the font to whatever you want. So you could even say, I love you more. You could put a name, whatever you would like. So once you have the font and your dotted line, the rows and the hoods are going to be cut out. If you don't like the hoods, you can either hide them or you could delete them. If you don't like them facing that way, you can go over and you can rotate. You can even flip them different ways so they can face that way. Get the design how you would like. If you'd like to change any of those little things, select it all and hit attach. So as you can see, I'm going to put the hood is going to be cut out. That's going to be cut out. I didn't change this to writing, so technically my font is going to be cut out too of my code, but I'm not actually using this one, so that's fine. But that's all you need to do if you need to cut your own codes out. So I'm going to delete that one because we don't want that one. I'm going to use premade code here. This is the insert code. It's that little shiny paper that'll show through the cutouts here. So just delete or hide that because you don't actually need that once you have it. The insert code, for the insert codes, the insert piece is 4.25 by 6. And just make sure your lock is locked so it changes it together. So that is for the insert code, and I'm just going to change it. I'm going to do red. I'm actually going to cut out this piece. My insert codes, it came with this brown, and the brown's pretty, but not necessarily for a rose. So I want my rose to kind of show red along with my hoods. So I'm actually going to cut out my own insert code. If you're using the insert codes that came with your packet, that's fine. You could just delete or hide this as well. Now, this is something I forgot to do. This outline, yeah, that's set to a pen. This code outline, it's just there so you know what size to make your code and to make sure all of your little pieces fit nicely inside of it. Don't forget to go up to operations and go down and change it to a guide. That makes it this like purpley color outline. That way you can size everything, you can see it, but when you go to make it, it doesn't cut it or do anything to it. It's like it wasn't there. You could also hide it in your panel, your layers panel, as well if you'd like. I forgot to either hide it or change it to a guide, and I accidentally cut it out, but I'll show you how I kind of fixed that. But don't make that mistake. Make sure you change that. Then you also, once you have everything to your liking, so we're cutting that out, we like the size, the way things are, select everything and hit attach. And then I will go over here and make sure my size is correct now that everything's together. Now on the box, it says code is 4.5 by 6.25. If I do that size, it'll automatically jump it to the next size. So I actually found if you make it the size of the insert code, that works out better. So let's change that to a 6. 4.25. There. Okay, that's about 6. That's close enough. You could get nitpicky if you really wanted to. For insert codes, I did the hood like this. That way the corner of my code will fit in there. But for the cutaway code, you could put them however you wanted. So again, change that up how you would like. Then we can hit make it. Oops. I'm going to change that to a different color so it's on a different mat. And so now it's letting me select the different ways. So we'll continue because this is just going to be cut on Cardstock, and we actually want it on a mat because it's Cardstock. This I'm going to be doing the code mat, so I'll select that. And then here you can select your size. So like I said, my code size is the 4.5 by the 6.25. So I have that selected. And if you can see here, my code will line up with the 30, which I'll show you it does. And there's no line for the grid. Okay. If we did the next size, you can see it gives it more of a border, which is fine if you like that and you want a little bit more of an edge, you could do that as well. So that's why we had to make our design just a little bit smaller, so that way it could fit inside that border. Cricut doesn't like to do it all the way to the side, to the edge. It likes that little bit of give. So then just continue, and I used the medium Cardstock for mine. I always like to use more pressure. And this one here, since it's a glitter Cardstock, it's kind of thick. I'll probably need to cut it twice. So if you need to do that before you unload your mat after the first cut, if it looks like it didn't cut all the way through, just hit the go button again and it'll cut it again. But again, kind of play around. Every machine's a little different. Everyone likes cuts a little different. So just use whatever settings are best for you and your machine. So now let's go get our mat set up. So I'm going to be using my Cricut mat. That's the 12 by 12 one. So you could technically do 4 cards at once. If you have the Joy, you could do the single Joy one. If you have the Joy one, you can technically put it on a regular mat, and we'll say this is this, but for the Joy, you would just stick it on, but you would just have to make sure you measure everything, figure out how off you need to be, get your alignment, and I would mark that maybe somehow, so if you do this a lot, you know where to position it. Or just use the Joy machine if you have one. You can also just use a regular mat, take your card and lay it flat, and then just make sure you line up where it is on your mat to get the right placement. So you don't have to have this fancy blue one here. This is going to be for I'm doing the insert card, and like I mentioned, it just came with like these brown ones that they're fun, but not for a Valentine's Day card. So as my insert, I'm going to make my own insert out of this fun red glitter cardstock. Because it's a thicker cardstock with glitter, that's why I'm using a green mat. Typically I like to use blue mats for cardstock though.
So again, I'm doing the insert code, so it's the little bit larger one. And I did notice the code says it's 4.5 by 6.25, but my design actually needs to also be the size of the insert, which is the 4.25 by the 6. Otherwise, it won't let you select the correct setting, which I will show you on the machine there. So you'll have just a little bit of an edge. So to put this on, take off the protective layer and save it so you can protect your sticky later on. And there's actually just this little slit here, so you can, I like to get my fingers, and you just slide it right underneath. And then you want to slide it all the way to the top and all the way over. And then press it down. You could do a brayer if you want. And then, as you can see, my code lines up with the number 30. So on my machine, on my screen, I'm just going to make sure that is also correct. So this is kind of for your measurements. Now for the Cutaway code, it's just a little bit different because they have this double-sided tape and the protective layer. So just peel off that protective layer and take your insert. And once that's on there well, then you can insert it into the mat. So I'm just pulling up that, sliding it behind, push up and over, and go to that 20 is what this one's going to size-wise, so make sure of that on my computer screen. Now let's make it. So here's what the codes look like, all cut out. I did go ahead and weed out my Cutaway one. I am not a fan of the Cutaway. That was a pain to weed out. It's kind of messy. It just, maybe if you're better at it, I just wasn't very good at it. Maybe with practice, I could have done maybe maybe I didn't cut it quite deep enough, so that's why I had some trouble with pieces sticking. But I'm also afraid to like cut it too much because then I don't want to cut through the shiny part. So I just don't like the cutaways, but that's just me. But if you like this cutaway look, you can do something similar. That's actually what I'm going to do with the insert code, because I know I must be picky here. The insert code, what you're supposed to do is you just stick your insert through those little hoods. I cut it a little bit bigger since I knew I didn't want to do that. And it just holds it by sitting there, sitting inside like that. But I don't know, just because it kind of has a little bit of a gap there. Something about it I'm just not a huge fan of. Let me see if I can show you closer here. So sometimes you can get that little gap going. I don't know, I prefer just to either tape or glue it down. So I'm just going to use my craft glue here and glue that down. And then it'll be just like the Cutaway code, but so much easier to weed out. If you noticed, all of them lost that little tiny centerpiece in the design. And I did keep them, and if you want, you can keep them. If you don't want to, I think it looks fine without, and then you can just glue it in there and it'll look fine. This was the first card I showed you where I forgot to make my border a guide, so it cut it out of the card itself. So I'll probably just cut that off, use this nice square for rectangle for something. But this isn't going to go to the waste because I can just glue or double-sided tape that to another card. So then I now have 3 cards. It wasn't completely wasted. It'll just look like that. And then with these hoods, cutouts, I have all these extra ones. So you could, if this was a different color, stick them on the front, maybe do them in the corners instead of doing the cutouts. You could, since it's a different color, put them in the corners. That's always kind of cute. I like to do one maybe in the top and the bottom. You could do them angled like that. You could do that way so it matches the front. Anything, however you want to do it. Or sometimes maybe you just do a couple. You can make a little flower out of them. So I always save the little extras and add them in. But that's also an option. So again, you could either do glue or you could do double-sided tape to attach these. So I'm just going to do that real quick and we'll be done. There's our 3 cards. Let me know down below which one is your favorite, and if you prefer the cutaway card or the insert card, or just making your own different variation of them. I hope you had fun crafting with me today, and I will see you next week for another fun craft. Thanks for watching.